Don't you be afraid.
Does this look familiar?
It does.
Is this the Funko Pop of the week?
I'm talking about the whole thing.
The ANX Weekly update.
No, that scares me.
I did my best to recreate it. It's a little off. I'm going to try to fix it when I have a little more time. But the Funko Pop of the week, they released some Dragon Ball GT Pops. And my favorite one has to be this Vegeta, if I can get it into the camera. The reason this is my favorite one is because when Dragon Ball Z was still out and Dragon Ball GT had not been released yet, we would see images from GT, all the villains, all the characters and their new clothes and what they look like and blah blah blah. So it was a look to what could be. Now the show ended up not being great, so that sucks, but growing up and having the excitement and ready for something new, something completely different because these people look different, was dope. And then
It sucked.
and then it wasn't great. So it's like, that's why this is my favorite pop, because it's not like anything was wrong with the art design or the character design.
So once I finally finish a Dragon Ball Z, am I gonna watch GT?
If you want to, we might actually can wait, and we might be able to wait on GT because I think they might actually make GT a proper part of Dragon Ball.
Okay.
Right? I don't think it's been decided yet, but it could be. Dragon Ball GT could still happen after Super if they just make it that way.
Yeah.
Now, Daima. So there was a little bit of Daima news from San Diego Comic-Con. It's actually before Super. So your next thing, technically, I guess, will be to watch Daima.
Okay.
Even though you've already watched Super. So
well, I'm just watching everything out of order here.
Yeah, and then
Sounds like they're making everything out of order too.
A little bit. Not necessarily making it, maybe releasing it in America, because Dragon Ball Z came out first, and then they put out Dragon Ball, and then they put out Dragon Ball GT.
Gotcha.
And so, anyway, so that is the Funko Pop of the week. Link down in description if y'all want to purchase it. What else do we have on this day in gaming history? So I need to change that to this week, but we're going to go with July 31st, 1999, Chocobo Racing. I think you can appreciate Chocobo Racing.
It's been so long, I can't remember any of the gameplay. But I imagine it's difficult based off a racing game.
No, it's just a kart game. It's like Mario Kart, but it's with Final Fantasy characters. It's pretty dope. Like,
yeah, they did Mario Kart, they did this one, they did Sonic Racing, Crash.
Yeah, so it's just another one of those that I don't think was real popular over here. I think all the Final Fantasy fans grabbed a hold to it, but generally speaking, it wasn't a big hit. But
Are these? So I know Chocobo, but are these other characters on the game also from Final Fantasy?
yeah, I see the Moogle on there. I see, they're all
Okay.
They're all from the Final Fantasy universe. Next game, you might know more about this, Ray, than me. The Pikmin 3.
So here's the funny thing. My kids were not into that. So
No, but you bought it. But y'all had it, right?
We have a lot of stuff, man.
Yeah.
Ray didn't even know that he had Tekken 8.
We don't have Tekken 8.
So
and
she was
I
lying.
found out
She was lying.
it was Tekken 7, which
Okay.
I kept telling him. I was like, I swear we don't have Tekken 8. But I was
Which
like,
is blasphemy. But
yeah,
okay.
I agree with that. I need to go get it. Maybe that'll be my next stop after this. But I was like, I know we got a Tekken, but it's not 8. And sure enough, it was Tekken 7.
It's just Tekken. It's like I got the Tekken. I got first Tekken.
I got Tekken 1.
So just to be clear on these games, this is not a list of all games that came out this week. This is a list of games that we specifically own that came out this week in gaming history. And last but not least, a newer title that I was really excited for but didn't pan out, Digimon Survive for the PS4, July 29th, 2022. I think it was like tactics based battle system, yet they never let you battle. It was just talk.
That's weird.
Like chapters after chapters after chapters.
But you can't do anything?
But you could never fight. And I was just like.
So what were you doing?
Just watching people talk, just hitting X to
oh my gosh.
Go to the next. And then it got to the point where that I don't think there was voiceovers anymore. So I was just reading. It was like reading a book.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I like voiceovers.
And I was just like, I'm done with this.
Maybe I'm just lazy, but I'm like, I don't want to keep having to read everything. Just talk.
No, I'm still not a huge fan. And I know I'm going to get slammed because I know Legend of Zelda and some Mario stuff is like this. But when, they're talking and you have to read, but the talk is it's like, then don't do it.
Legend of Zelda, that's the one that came out a couple years ago that everybody freaked out about?
Well, you mean like Breath of the Wild?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I didn't like that. People loved Breath of the Wild, and I was like, it's all right.
Baby girl has 200 plus hours on that. I think she beat it. She beat it in like record time, but then came back and just started like finishing everything that she could on it.
Yeah, I didn't really love that game.
Yeah. She's the same way about the next one.
But most people did. I mean, I was definitely in the minority on that one.
I liked playing it. I did. It was enjoyable.
It was like okay. Yeah. Like it wasn't like bad. It wasn't a bad game. But this all this talk about best game ever made, I was just like, no. Like I said, I'm good when people say,
it's a classic.
Certain things, but then when you take it to that level, this is the best thing ever made. That's when I'd have to.
I mean, it's no Fallout 4.
That's when Genesis enters the conversation.
I think it deserves a spot in the top 50 for sure.
I mean,
I would. I mean, if we're talking about all-time games, like,
I'm just saying, when most of the time, most people when they say all-time anything, they're not talking about top 50.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they're usually talking about top 10.
Top 10,
maybe even top 25.
Top 3.
I'm gonna say top 25.
Well, best ever, like. Yeah, that's top 10, top 3, top 5, right?
I would say it was certainly one of the better games.
Mount
that
Rushmore,
year.
4 top,
Yeah, top 4 Mount Rushmore video games. I could not do. There's only one that I could think of that I would put. Everything else is
Tekken 8.
Probably not Tekken.
Fallout 4.
No,
it's
definitely
not Fallout 4.
That
is on a mountain somewhere, but it's more at the bottom.
Oh,
flung off the mountain for fun and games.
Yeah.
What's next? All right. Does anybody want to take this, or do I?
Well, I mean, I'll start.
Okay.
Because you may not agree. I have a feeling you may not agree with me.
Okay.
I don't really think this is that big a deal.
I
mean, the way she said it, and then when I read that she had made a comment about this in 2022 as well, she kind of saying like, because I guess there was a movie that was out at the same time as Doctor Strange, and her movie was kind of similar, and she was like,
"Oh, everything, everywhere."
Yes, and she kind of was like, "Oh." But I don't remember her exact words, but she was kind of saying like Marvel can't even compare to what we did here.
And I got to be honest with that comment. She's not wrong.
I never saw it.
Everything, Everywhere at Once. Mm-hmm. That movie made you laugh. It made you cry. It actually made more sense than Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I mean, it was. It's not a.
But those are two different conversations, though, right?
It is,
like,
and it isn't.
Marvel can't do anything versus. Multiverse of Madness wasn't as good as this movie. Those are two different.
I just take
statements.
And the thing is, the apology that she came out with afterwards, it seemed like it was part of competitive nature. Mm-hmm. The way that she was kind of like, that one's bad, mine's good. I don't know.
I just love the fact of what it was. What phase is Marvel in right now? Oh, bad.
She said it pretty quickly.
She just, I mean, to me, it was.
I don't agree with her, but
it was a comedic moment for me, and
to me, the messenger is wrong here. The messenger is wrong. Like, first off, these MCU movies are not made for her. Yeah. I don't think they're the target.
She's like 70 years old,
right? But then two, it's just like a person who was about to be in probably one of the biggest flops this year, which is going to be Borderlands, which you want to compare things that got praise and award nominations, and you finally won an award for something. You had never won an award, right, for anything, and now you finally won one for a movie, and you want to go around bashing other movies based off this movie that you weren't even supposed to be in, right? You weren't even supposed to be in that movie in the beginning, right? But and you're about to be in one of the biggest flops this year, Borderlands, right?
We don't know if that's true. It's speculative.
Well,
at this point,
it looks horrible.
Until it comes out, it's a speculative comment.
Okay, but it looks horrible.
Yeah, you can say that. That's
okay.
Fine. Yeah.
And for that particular type of movie to be more in the genre of the MCU type movies, all right, why don't you compare that movie to MCU then?
Yeah.
Why don't you do that?
I think that's the competitive nature. I think that's where she's coming from.
I don't even think she cares, to be honest.
I don't think so. Because Borderlands is not even out yet.
But that's what she was that's what she's kind of promoting, right?
Yeah, she's promoting that. I mean, Ryan Reynolds certainly took it as a joke. He was like, "Wait, we're not supposed to insult after, phase 3?"
Well, what he said was we're supposed to apologize for criticizing anything after Endgame, but at the same time, bro, you done did movies, you done did whole parts in movies where you've apologized for your bad, like you've apologized for stuff. So it's like did
he though?
Well, he apologized for Green Lantern. He apologized for a bunch of stuff.
But this isn't a. All of it's in a comedic thing. All of it's in a moment of like, oh, I wish I should have chilled. It's self-deprecating as opposed to.
Then why did she apologize then?
That's just her. To me now, whether or not it was a publicist going, hey,
it's not a good look.
Let's stop this real quick before this gets out of hand. Blah blah blah. We're messing with the 800-pound gorilla in the room. We actually need that fan base to come and support Borderlands.
For Borderlands.
Yeah.
It will be great. And then she even came out and said, "Yeah, I would love to be in one of those movies. Why if it's bad?"
Yeah.
Like she's all over the place and not making any sense. It's almost like it's almost like she doesn't know how to deal with this new level of fame she's found in that last 2 years.
She is a great grandmother who is old enough not to remember not having a time where every 5th movie that was coming out that week.
That's what I said. But that's what I just said. She don't know how to handle what's going on today.
So to that, if I was the publicist, I was just like, you know what? Let it go. What does it matter? Why does she need to apologize? I have more respect for those that just come out and own it and say, "No, I meant what I said."
Well, I think that's why she apologized. I don't think she meant what she said. I think she said it because it was just a trendy thing to say, and it would go viral, and it would give her a pop. However, the long-term ramifications are bad for her because she said, "I don't know if there would be a place for a 64-year-old woman or 70, whatever she said." There's definitely a place in the MCU for a 64, 74-year-old woman.
What does it matter though? Like that's what I would love for people not to be ruled by the publicists. And just come out and say, "Yeah, I thought
but that's speculative. You don't.
Also speculative.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. So you don't know if that actually happened. All we know is that she actually apologized.
She could have actually been sincere in it, but I love the fact that Reynolds still came out and said what he said, which is like, are we supposed to?
I usually don't do this level of petty, but I'm gonna do this level of petty because at the same time, I'm tired.
Doesn't usually do this level of petty?
No. You'll see.
I'm interested in what he's gonna say.
Because at the same time, people just keep taking shots at MCU, and it's hurting the brand overall, right? Because because that's how the world works nowadays.
I'll give you $500 million on why that doesn't work when we review Deadpool and Wolverine.
It does. But it does work. It does work. It might not work where it just puts a thing out of business like DC. But it does work.
Well, I mean, you're right. It's petty.
And so no, the petty is there was one specific movie that came out during this bad phase that grossed more money overall than all of your movies combined that you were the lead in.
What was it?
Guardians 3. So Guardians 3 worldwide grossed more money worldwide than all of the movies combined she's ever been in as the lead. So why don't you just shut the hell up?
I don't think she cares.
How about that?
I don't. I don't. I think she would look at it and be like,
I mean, when's the last time she was a lead in the movie?
Halloween?
Dang.
Yeah.
No. I mean, the one that came out like 2 years ago.
I thought I was getting petty.
No, I mean,
she's
she the lead?
No,
she's laughing at this woman.
I like Jamie Lee Curtis, but I don't think Jamie Lee Curtis has been truly relevant in a long time. And I don't mean that like in a mean way. That probably sounds mean, but I just mean like she was really big in like the late 70s, 80s when she was doing Halloween and Carrie and
she was a scream queen of that generation.
Right. I discovered her in 1987-ish with Trading Places. That was like the first movie I ever saw her in. and like she was in My Girl, but I really haven't seen her do much. I think she did that Switching Places movie or whatever it's called. So it's like random stuff that she's done.
Right. So can we not all agree that it's probably like, regardless of if anybody cares or whatever, this is not necessarily a good look for her?
I don't really care about the look of her at all.
No, but it doesn't matter if you care or not. Can we agree that it's not a good look for her?
It's probably not if she's trying to continue to work. However, she may just not. We don't know. She may really not like Marvel movies. She may be one of those people that's like.
But I would
not Marvel. I mean, like Marvel, DC, the whole
comic
superhero
book.
movies.
She might not like superhero movies.
Okay.
We don't know.
Which would be fine. She's allowed not to. And that's the thing that I get more irritated with people coming back and saying, well, I'm going to apologize for that. No, own it. If you don't like it, if you hate it, then just say it.
What if she didn't mean it?
If she didn't mean it and it was a true, sincere...
Which is probably more my problem with this whole thing.
Yeah. No? I didn't take it that... when I first saw it, I didn't take it that she really meant it. I took it that she was trying to be kind of funny. And it's the competitive nature of I'm not going to say anything nice about a movie that's somewhat in the same genre. And that maybe that's why she came out and apologized, because she was like, that was kind of stupid.
But it was
whatever.
My thing is, you could have brought in that fan base of Multiverse of Madness and say, hey, if you like this one, you'll really like this one too.
Well, and I don't think she truly. The other thing is, like, a lot of people respect the work. You know what I mean? You may not like the genre. Let's just say hypothetically, you may not like the genre, but I would think after she's been in the business for as long as she has, you respect the work. You know what I mean? You don't tend to go out and just bash things like that. So I think that's probably why she probably was joking. Which is kind of what she said in her apology. Right. She reached out to Kevin Feige or whatever. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this. But it was more of if anything, if it was a bad look, then it's going to look worse on her than it does how it affects the movies. I think, because I don't think many people care what Jamie Lee Curtis thinks unless they're 65 and up, or unless her publicist called that day and been like, hey, I know you just said this, but Feige wanted to meet with you. Right. And then all of a sudden it's like, about this movie? They're willing to pay this much. And she's like, oh, yes. Right. Like, we got to like turn this around for sure. It's trash. That all that is trash. Yeah. Well, that's why we don't work in Hollywood. True. And you can't trust anything that you see or hear. Yeah. All right. So let us know down in the comment section. What did y'all think about the apology? Ridiculous. That would be my take on it. Oh, I'm more excited for this than I am that apology. You forgot to get your one of your 1,000 Game Informer. Maybe? Yeah, I didn't have time to go I was going to try to dig out the oldest one that I had and then the newest one that I had, and then I was just like, I don't feel like it because the boxes are heavy. Yeah. Game Informer officially closed its door, shut down, laid off everybody. It's over. It's done. So the first time I encountered Game Informer, I was at my cousin's house. Shout out to Lakia. And she had like the first 4 or 5 that came out. And she was super like excited about them. We used to play video games a lot together. And it was literally like the first 5 that came out. I fell off the Game Informer wagon probably late 90s as far as a actual source of like good info. Okay. Right. Because even though they gave you all the information up front about who was reviewing games, that doesn't mean that I want to see their review. So for example, they would say Ray likes RPGs and hates sports games, right? Flip 5-10 pages in, Ray is reviewing Madden. Ray then gives Madden a 0.75. Ridiculous, right? So I stopped even looking at Game Informer for that, you know, should I buy this game or not? Should I play this game or not? Then I went to, well, they have all the previews, right? They have all the stuff that's coming out 1 year, 2, 3 years, you know. Yeah. So I would read for those articles, and then, you know, the internet happened, and then all these conventions happens and these E3s, and like, so you didn't really need it for that anymore either. You don't really need E3 for that anymore either, because it's not there. Right. That's not even there anymore.
So fast forward, I just kept getting Game Informers just because I kept getting Game Informers.
The covers are usually cool.
The covers are cool. The artwork, they started to try to feature the artwork, right? It's just, I just feel like it's a default thing the default thing that gamers do. You buy games, you get Game Informer. I just feel like it's just a staple of like the gaming community as a whole. However, GameStop has been using the physical copies of Game Informer for the past 2-3 years, maybe longer, to justify upping the cost of their rewards program. Just to ultimately stop physical copies altogether and make it its own subscription if you want to go get the actual physical magazines. A year into that, I don't even know if it's been a year. A year into that, the whole thing is going under.
Yep.
Okay, so a couple things. For individuals like you and I would say that the rewards program from GameStop is still beneficial when it's a physical release. It saves me money, like it does, and it gives me back money. It does pay for itself and then some.
Most of the time. It's the COVID thing kind of.
COVID really, but I gotta actually be honest with you. COVID actually shot it up for me because I was buying more stuff.
I was buying less stuff because there was less being released.
Yeah. That's when I really kind of picked up. But I'm as you are as well, love physical media, love physical information coming out. Yes, it's slower. Yes, I'm not going to be able to pick up, and I'm going to go back even further than Game Informer.
Oh Lord.
Would love to have picked up a Wizard World, right? That was a thing when you were collecting comics as Wizard World, which was the same thing. And then you start seeing that slow transgression into, well, we got to start going into internet and web and everything being digital until eventually you see the death of it. Game Informer to me was always going to go that route.
Right.
It was never going to be anything.
All magazines will eventually go that route.
Shout out to Nintendo Power.
Shout out Nintendo Power.
Yeah, no kidding, right? So, for these physical magazines or anything like that, it's just time. I'm honestly surprised to still walk into a Barnes & Noble or any other bookstore of that magnitude or size.
4 or 5 racks of magazines.
Front and back, just still going.
But what's crazy about a lot of those magazines, if you pick them up and look at the price,
$10.
10 or more. 15, 20.
Well, you have to compensate for cost of, one, the physical print, two, people not picking up magazines like they used to, and they're trying to survive in a digital world, and that's hard. And it's one thing, honestly, as a comic book fan, that scares me a little bit to see if comic books are going to go that way now. I mean, Marvel just recently announced a program that in their comic books there's going to be a code at the back, and it'll give you an additional couple of pages. Now, granted, it should be a preview for the next issue coming out, but how far away are we from seeing half the story being done digitally, just so that they can push that? And for me, in order for anything like this to survive, you're gonna have to go into a almost collected edition where they print out something for an annual,
a variant.
Yeah, just to sit there and say, and so it can be collectible again. But when I look at comics as a whole right now, I definitely want the physical print to stay in, but I think we're going to see a physical print move to compilations or to a completed arc or series, more in that book or graphic novel format. I just don't see that being available for magazines like this.
Well, I think the other thing that also hurt the Game Informer as a brand is that it went digital a long time ago, but I don't know about you, but I think I've read one Game Informer digital copy, and that's it ever.
0.
Right.
I've read 0.
I think the how can I put this? The tablet, not going viral like people thought it might have, right? Because then what was the first tablet that you can read books on? And
Kindle.
The Kindle.
Oh, Kindle, yeah.
Right. So regular tablets for things like the graphic novels and comic books and Game Informer type stuff didn't really catch on.
No, it didn't. For someone like myself, I will read a comic book on a tablet form, but it's going to have to be usually a story I've already read or that I have. I just don't want to go and get the book. I just want to have a quick, review or a quick look through, or, maybe I'm thinking, oh, I wonder if that story, if it really was this, and I'll go back and I'll read it that way. But again, yeah, for magazines, I don't know. And you couldn't release something like when, they talked about the first iteration of the Fire tablet, and that color Kindle. It was to kind of be that point of supporting more magazine stuff, and it's just
never caught on.
Just never caught on.
I mean, it got to the point where, I think I've sent you a few texts when it happens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they give away free comic books all the time when it comes to the digital versions. Like all the time. You can find free comic books all over the place, and just nobody cares. Or from what I can see, no one cares. Like,
there's been some books, like I never got the Kindle, but I got the Nook, which was Barnes and Noble.
Barnes and Nobles.
And then, but now I can read, I have like a Kindle app on my phone. I have read some books like that, but now I'm like audio because I like driving around just listening.
Yeah, but that's it right there. This killed everything.
Yeah.
But I don't even do it on my phone. I would have done it more on the tablet, but there was something weird about how the pages turned in the tablet.
I love it.
It was well, I'm talking specifically about when I checked out Game Informer, when I checked out comic books.
Okay.
It was slow, it was laggy, it was something weird that was happening that I just didn't like, and I was like, this is not for me.
Yeah, but we sit there and we talk about it not being necessarily for, and I agree with that, right? Like, let me make sure that everyone understands. I do agree with that. I love that physical tactile touch and feel of a magazine or a book or a comic book or a graphic novel. I am very much in there, but there's enough people that I know that they do enjoy that, right? It's just like-minded individuals, right?
Mm-hmm.
We want to still have that.
That
connection.
So when I say I didn't enjoy the experience, it's not necessarily I wish I had a physical thing that I was picking up and turning. It was like, have you ever looked at so we got regular 9 to 5, so we're going to talk about some business here. Yeah. Just like a PDF. It was just like a PDF or reader, but you skip to the next PDF, but it was slow and laggy. And that bar had to.
Yeah, fair enough.
And he does not like laggy.
That's what was happening.
Yep.
Right. I mean, I think historically, generally speaking, comic books, a comic book can be read within 5 minutes because it's not a book, because you don't have paragraphs and paragraphs of information per page.
Well, unless you're picking up a Brian Michael Bendis book.
Okay, Brian.
Generally
speaking, you'll go through pages that don't have any text.
Yeah.
Right. So you can see what's going on, see the action, and keep it moving. So that experience that I had on the actual tablet with that, I just didn't enjoy it. So I think that, again, just to tie it back in, that was just also something that hurt Game Informer. Yeah. It could have been a plus. Who knows how much longer the physical copy could have lasted if people enjoyed the digital, right? That those funds coming in help, right? Blah, 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 however that works. But it was just so many things going against this. Honestly, I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did. Yeah, but I think the only reason it did is because they kept jacking up the price for the rewards card.
Well, and I feel like if I'm understanding correctly, this is indicative of, problems at GameStop. Because what I read is that even though Game Informer is listed like it's a company, it's under GameStop, right? And so now GameStop is doing what their CEO or whatever released, the statement they released, I guess like a year or two ago, they said is that they are watching every single penny, that's fine. I mean, a lot of companies are doing that. Right. Most people that I talk to at other companies, everybody is doing that. They're looking at travel. They're looking at personnel costs. What can we cut? Whatever.
I literally just had a meeting this week on that and everyone's trying to cut costs.
Everybody is. And so I get that. But the problem is with GameStop is we have seen this we've seen problems for several years now with them. And it kind of worries me because I don't want GameStop to shut down.
No.
Like, I don't want it to become an online store only.
It's going to. The Reddit stocks or whatever, the meme stocks, whatever you want to call it, is the only thing I think keeping them in business. If that did not happen, I think they would have shut down already. So now this is just yet one more thing. It might not be a big thing, but it's just another thing that's being taken away from the GameStop experience. People are already complaining that they go into GameStop and there's no games. They have more Funko Pops than games.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a
collectible store now.
It's turning into a collectible store, but it's still called GameStop. They don't have a lot of games, and now they don't even have a gaming magazine.
Well, and it's one of those things. It's like, this is random, but like Bed Bath & Beyond.
Pillows.
I didn't go all the time, but it's one of those things like you want it to be there when you want it.
Yeah.
And so I can't, like, we haven't been to GameStop in a while. I mean, we went the other day, but we don't go all the time anymore like we used to.
No, we used to. I mean, it used to be at least once a week.
At least
once a week.
If not more. And now it's like, but so I'm not saying we support it all the time, but still, I would hate for it to go away.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a retro store eventually.
Yeah.
And it's not, and I don't even think that has to do with GameStop. I think that has to do with the fact that games themselves, how Spider-Man 2 conversation from, last year, I've canceled it. Why? Because the collector's edition
didn't come with a
physical copy.
Oh, I forgot about that.
So how much longer are we going to? Now, it's not a slam against a company like, say, Steam. I love being able to go on Steam and download some stuff, right? But I want that physical copy. The fact that, who was it? Was it Sony Pictures or one of the major studios is now saying they are, Disney. Disney says they are just about 6 months to a year away from getting rid of their physical copies.
Yeah, It's coming.
I will hunt for a physical copy. I will pay $40 for a physical copy to have, because as people are now really starting to find out, you don't own digital.
Yeah, I mean, because the Xbox 360, that should have been another topic. The Xbox 360 marketplace shut down. GameStop put out the tweet, I bet you wish you still have physical copies, blah, blah, blah. However, GameStop, and I'll end on this and maybe we can move on to the next round. But you are the reason companies went digital as fast as they did, because they were not making any money off the used games that you were selling.
Yeah.
So if you want to blame anybody for the digital revolution, GameStop, it's you.
Yep.
Don't turn around and try to blame the consumer, the fan, the customers. That is their fault.
Well, and that goes back.
It's actually your fault.
That goes back to a corporate agenda, though, of because we have a new CEO. Absolutely. What is the thing when we always have a new manager, a new VP, a new boss? Blame the exiting guy.
Yeah.
No matter how good the intel may have been, well, we got to fix all the mistakes of that previous person, and instead of just coming out and saying, look, we've got to figure out how to survive in this ever evolving marketplace that we have. And the bottom line is we do have to make some changes. We do have to make some cuts in order to move these funds to a different portion of our industry so that we can support it. But again, it goes back to even more than that. It's the corporations that they're going to be buying from on whether or not they're going to put out these physical copies. What, I'm supposed to go to GameStop now to pick up a card that allows me to download?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, that was always dumb to me. I mean, that they had it available. I appreciate that you have it available.
Yeah.
I appreciate that you have it there. But if it turns into that only, I don't need to go to your store.
Yeah, no. I can get that on Amazon and get it electronically and within seconds without having to put on clothes or, get in the car. Waste gas.
I think that's a good.
Yeah,
That's a
good flip to the next section.